Hello, everybody. My name is Hutch Johnson. Coming up, we're going to talk about some serious changes in the weather pattern. But we have weather going on right now and a storm system that is hitting the Rocky Mountains and out toward the west coast in California, dumping heavy snow, is heading in to the central plains and southern plains, where we could have active weather in the forms of some severe thunderstorms, hail, and even tornadoes. We'll go over that threat. We'll look at snowfall reports and this big pattern shift that's heading our way. It's all coming up next. Let's start with a look at what's going on that radar right now as we take a peek at that national picture. First and foremost, we'll notice this, a big old bottle of nothing in the nation's midsection, where we have record highs again in the northern plains. Temperatures up in the Dakotas today breaking records. Minnesota, this whole area very mild. As we look off to the west, we see some unsettled rainy weather there, but it's snowing in the elevated terrain of California. And we do see quite a bit of snow in the New England states, mainly north of Connecticut and Vermont and up into Maine. We're going to take in just a little bit closer right now as we zoom into the west coast where the snowflakes are flying. Notice the heavy rain out near Vegas. The radar showing active weather there. Now we do see still some remnant snow showers up in the mountains west or east of Fresno rather, and there's still some ongoing snow in these areas as we set things into motion. Things are moving off though into the elevated terrain of northern Arizona, Colorado, and we should see this system express and spread some snow its way up into areas of the northern Rockies as well. Now, we do have some coastal snow taking place out there near Maine, but look at this, Presque Isle all the way down to areas north of Bangor and up to Rumford. We're seeing a heavier batch of snow. So from Phillips, Farmington, right into that Rumford area, and Woodstock. That snowfall is a little bit on the heavy side. Quebec City seeing some snow showers as well. As we look down toward Montreal, that's rain. So that's what's going on right now. A whole lot of quiet in the nation's midsection. Unsettled weather releasing out of the Rockies overnight and into tomorrow will bring some severe weather potential to Texas. So let's take a look at that risk for severe weather heading into the plains. But first, let's look at snowfall reports from this system in California that worked its way through. Here's a look at what we had going on today. This is the last 24 hours, and we see some significant snowfall reports in places of California. Let's zoom into that area, shall we? And as we go in, where you see the red dots, amounts of 1 to 2 feet of snow reported, and getting a little closer, we can see that report 19.4 inches in Lassen National Park out there. 19.4 inches of snowfall fun, not far from Carson City, Nevada, up in the elevated terrain, 6 inches at that Rose Ski Base. And while we do have some 11-inch reports as we go up the mountains just a little bit farther, 10.6 to 11 inches, Soda Springs, California, and on up here just off to the west of Donner Lake near the Truckee, California area, 10 inches of flaky goodness there. Now sliding down a little bit farther south, we got some really heavier snow reports up here down by the June Mountain Ski Base. 11 inches of fresh powdery fun there, as well as Mammoth Mountain Ski Base. We'll look at the forecast. This system that brought the snow here will be bringing some snow to the mountains of Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Montana, as we go through the next day or so. Now, as we look off to the east, not much in the way of other snowfall reports as of this time coming from the system working its way into Maine. Scobie, Montana. Hey, Paul, good to have you on board. It's great to see you, and thank you so very much. And Greased Monkey 75. Hello from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. Hey, if you're watching Hutch for the first time, I just want to thank you for taking the time to check out my weather channel here. I love talking about the weather, and I love including you as well. So go ahead and drop a comment in there. Let me know where you're watching from. Oops, I got the forecast for Fargo there if you're interested. I've been an on-air meteorologist for the better part of, 26 years here in North Dakota. And as a meteorologist, I like to share some of the behind-the-scenes stuff right here on Hutch's Weather, my YouTube channel. That's where you watch me on now. Now, let's take a look at our risk of severe weather. If you like what's going on here, give my videos a big old like. I appreciate that. Subscribe if you feel the need. And Well, hit the little dingle bell next to the subscription button. That's a great way to get notified. Now let's talk a little bit about the severe weather threat. This system in California heading off into the southern plains could bring some severe weather there. Here's what you need to know about that heading into your day. First, we're going to see that mainly that severe weather threat is confined to places in Texas. So what you're noticing here, where you see this lighter shade of green, that's just garden variety thunder showers. We could hear some lightning across much of New Mexico. And you get up into places even as far north as Kansas, some garden variety thunder showers. Where you see the dark green, that's a level 1 out of a 5-level scale called marginal. That means they'll be marginally close to severe. We could see some hail threats in those areas, maybe some windy thunderstorms. But the yellow area, the slight risk, that slight risk of severe thunderstorms is going to take place not far from San Antonio in Texas. And there is a threat for, well, even some tornadoes there. So make sure you stay abreast of the latest weather situation in your area. And if thunderstorms approach your area in central and southern Texas on your Friday, this is for Friday now, well, be sure to have weather information at hand and go over and review your severe weather procedures. Now let's talk about forecast models. Where is the snow in California now going? What's going on in the mountains? And how's this big pattern shift Hutch is talking about making its way through? Let's get right to that. First, let's start with a high resolution model after we've looked at stuff, and I'm going to load that up right now. This will be a convection allowing model, so it'll allow us to see just a little bit better and in more detail about how things may transpire over the next 24 hours. Let's get right to that at this time. Okay, here you go, folks. Zooming into California, that's where things are going on. We'll check in on the Northeast as well with the system exiting there. This high-resolution model has the snow showers taking place in the mountains of California, heading off to the east as we go through. Notice here, as we go through the next 24 hours, the timestamp says 2 in the morning on Groundhog's Day, Elko, Nevada, all the way out towards Cedar City and Salt Lake City, seeing some snow showers, as is Montrose to Durango in Colorado. So some good elevated terrain snow there, and the snow does intensify in parts of Idaho and the mountains of western Montana as well. So carrying you through the next time frame as we go further into your Groundhog's Day, look at the snow being fairly persistent in the elevated terrain from the northern Cascades all the way down into the central and southern Rockies. So good mountain snow for Colorado, New Mexico, places in Utah. Now, what's going on out to the East Coast? Most of the snow will have cleared by the time we get to 2 in the afternoon. We'll go over that a little bit more in detail. Now, here's what goes on in the southern plains with this low pressure center going over the Rockies. And once it gets on the other side, it's going to clash some cooler air with the humid air in central Texas. What time is this starting? It's late. So basically any time after the dinner hour, around 5 to 7 o'clock central time in Texas, we could have some Uvalde storms developing here on this model. It says also out by Caraville and out towards San Antonio, we could have some thunderstorms that make their way through. There is a risk. There is some spin in the atmosphere with regards to this system. So there is a risk for an isolated tornado. It doesn't look widespread, but with the clashing of the air masses here, we can have some robust storms, with hail being another threat that is something that will be real. Now you're looking at 11 at night, and the storms are still in San Antonio, drifting through Texas and decreasing in intensity as they approach the Woodlands and the Houston area and near Sugarland as we take a look at that area. Those storms bow out here. You see that backward C shape heading into Beaumont, Texas, out there in the hills. That area could see some very windy thunderstorms as a result of these exiting Texas in the wee hours of the morning of the 3rd. So keep that in mind. We'll carry this through some heavy rain pushing into parts of Louisiana where rain is welcome, but boy, it's been a busy one. Look at that rain spreading all the way far north into Kearney, Nebraska, as well as, well, Cheyenne, Wyoming, while the mountain snow just continues to pound the mountains of Colorado. That is a look at that high resolution model for our risk of severe thunderstorms and weather that we have in the southern plains. Again, this is for Friday. The risk for severe weather is in Texas on Friday. So keep that in mind and have your severe weather information handy with regards to that. Okay, now we're going to shift gears and talk a little bit more about the long-term pattern change that Hutch is seeing taking place. We have a shift going on. Right now, we have the midsection of the country very quiet, but we have some coastal systems going on. One coastal system moves through the Rockies and develops into what we call a Colorado low and brings stormy weather to Texas. and even unsettled weather to the northern plains. But the real change happens in the long range forecast. And we're going to show you that right now. So while I'm loading up the more global scale model, I'm going to take you to the basic details of this pattern shift. There's a couple of different models to look at here. And the main pattern change that I want to point out is this, that number one, we're going to have West Coast areas continue to get pounded with very rainy systems, and particularly in California and the mountains of the southern and central Rockies, we're going to see more chances of snow. But because these storms set up in the central Rockies, these ejecting Colorado lows will be something to keep our eyes on. As is always the case, I bring this meteorological twist to things here, and I want to tell you that the farther out in time we go out, the lower our confidence is in these models being highly precise with the exact track. But this is what I want to point out with regards to this long pattern that you're seeing here taking place. Let it start all over right here. So here is our Colorado low that will be developing in the next 24 hours that moves into places of the Central Plains, Texas with the severe weather, rain in Louisiana and the Mississippi Delta. Cindy, good to have you on board from Hankinson. Tell us what you see overnight Sunday. Fog heading to Minneapolis then. Okay, Minneapolis travel. Yeah, fog has been a problem here in the northern plains with that south wind bringing moist air over the cool terrain here, and it's been a daily thing. So that's certainly something. On Sunday, though, we could be seeing a little bit of a shift. Find out more about that on my Facebook video I just posted on my Facebook page, Cindy. All right, let's take a look at this. The mountains of Colorado, as we head into, look at the date on this now, you're talking about the 3rd, as we go through your Saturday. The rain exits, this pattern change will make its way out, and the rain stays in this slanted diagonal pattern from the northern Rockies right into the Gulf Coast states, bringing the eastern coasts of the Gulf of Mexico and parts of western Florida, seeing some good heavy rain making its way through into the southeast United States. Then quiet, but here comes the next system. And this is what I mean. California, you just get a barrage of more rain, more mountain snow up in the mountains of Washington and Oregon as well. So all of the western U.S. continues to get pounded with this active pattern there. Then as we carry this second system through, by the time we get to the 7th, this is next Wednesday, folks, snow from the mountains of Montana and out there near Jackson, Wyoming. We're seeing that snow work its way through. Now this system, as it works its way over the Rockies, will develop into another Colorado low, and this particular model has it rocking into the northern plains. Rain in Minneapolis and then snow into the Dakotas as we go through. The track of this system is questionable. The thing that is not questionable is the fact that this pattern shift is present on 3 or more models, so we'll continue to show you that really quickly as well. Some more rain for the southern plains as the active weather continues in the Gulf Coast states from Arkansas, Tennessee, through northern parts of Alabama and Mississippi as well. And again, these storms eject out toward the East Coast. Look at this, heading into the middle of the month almost of February, we have a Great Lakes storm system as a result of this ejecting Colorado low into the Great Lakes and Northern Plains. So our active pattern does continue. I do want to show you a couple of other models, and it's kind of an interesting way to look at this. And it does highlight the fact meteorologically that we can't say with certainty that we're going to get hit in any one specific area this far out. But what we can say is as we get into around the 7th to the 10th of the month of February, we're going to see a very active pattern from the Colorado Rockies into the Central Plains, and winter returns where now we have heat. Let me show you a look at these models. Number one, this is the European model. European model for Thursday, February 8th, as one of these Colorado lows is expected to eject through the northern plains, returning not record heat to the northern plains by next Thursday, February 8th, but some wintry weather up there, where the ground in many places of North Dakota is void of snow because of 50s and 60-degree weather. That includes northeast Montana as well as much of Minnesota. So rain to the east of this system, swirling snow on the left. What does another model show? Here's the American model. Ooh, big time change in the track, and because of the storm track being farther south, this could bring very heavy snow to the Dakotas, northern and western parts of Minnesota. So we'll be watching this closely, but nonetheless, as we go into that second week of February, we're going to see an active pattern returning to the northern plains, and as a result, these systems all work their way out toward the East Coast, and we're going to have continued active weather in the southern plains with a lot of rain, and these systems will impact as we go from February 8th and then again about 4 to 5 days later, another Colorado low working its way out could impact the weather again. Much more active pattern. This, by the way, a German model. This German model does things a little bit differently, but it's certainly fun to include in the mix. Look at this one. It splits that one storm ejecting out of Colorado into two systems, having one a little stronger than the other. But when you stretch out a storm like that into a greater area, it tends to not isolate the focal point of the storm, but stretch it out, spread it out over more area, making it a little less impactful in some. This one could bring some snow back to Nebraska if this model pans out. We're going to keep our eyes on this. Meteorologically speaking, the European model has done a subtly better job, particularly in the outside ranges of the forecast models. So that's a look at that. And I sure hope you've appreciated my take on the weather here. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I've been doing on-air weather for the last 27 years. I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. And if you like the videos, give them a like and check out a few of the other ones I'm sharing with you here at the end. Again, thanks so much. Check out the other videos and pay attention to the weather in Texas. Severe weather on Friday. That's Groundhog Day and an active pattern shift as we head into the second week of February.